They tried everything they can to break us, but they can't break us. They cannot break us. We are unbreakable. We are unbreakable. Justice. We are unstoppable. And majority of self-recognition. Power.
People were brought to court because they said they protested against a court order. We were still challenging the propriety of even the arraignment on the ground that you said people violated court order by protesting. We never heard of a constitution in this country, even despite all its defects, designating places where people should protest. If a protest is illegal, it is illegal. If it is not illegal, it is not illegal. You cannot say people can protest in that street, but they cannot protest in this street. And you are so confident that that will be justified. But today, the police were disappointed in judiciary. They have been masquerading themselves as law enforcers. They have been blackmailing the defendants that they protested against a court order. But what we witness in court today is a direct opposite of the propaganda they were selling to the public. Majority of us have already fallen into that propaganda. Majority of us are already accusing the defendants. Why do they protest when there is a court order? But what we saw here today was that the magistrate courageously granted bail. That is another of court. He gave a very liberal bail conditions. He said there should be 2 shorties worth 500,000 with tax clearance and a means of identification. The police were so disappointed, and I even heard that some of the people in Mufti here, they are senior police officers. They came to monitor the proceeding with about more than 50 police officers in this court. There were 2 roadblocks in the morning. The entire premises was cordoned off. At the end of the day, when they saw that the bail perfection was in process, CSP Iliasu led brigade of police officers to come and attack us together with all other lawyers and innocent people who were just in court premises to say they are good. The woman selling food there was manhandled. The table was destroyed. The food was destroyed. Sowore was bundled violently. People were holding his hand. People were holding his leg into that vehicle. In the course of that, some of us who ask questions, where are you taking him? In fact, CSP Iliasu brought a paper which he called remand order, and we asked him to show us that remand order. He refused to show us. We asked him, if you are taking Sowore to prison custody, on what ground can you do that? If he's not able to perfect the bail condition, and if he's not able to do that, and you are taking him, where are the prison officials? The prison officials will be here. Why must it be police? Why must it be you? In the course of that, they descended on everybody. I was injured. There was blood stain in my bib. This is my bib. We were manhandled, and Sowore's clothes was torn. And they forced him into their vehicle, and they took him away. As we speak, we don't know where he is, but we are still trying to follow up on the bail perfection. If you perfect the bail today, then we want the police to justify why, whatever reason they have, to keep him. This is illegality. This is injury. This is to cover with their phone. Individuals who have cases in court were abducted. As we speak, we don't know where they are, and that is what the police institution have done today. They talk about court order. There's a court order now. They are like people are not respecting court order, but today they have come here to not just to violate court order, but to violate the sanctity of this premises. It's an embarrassment. And we call on the Attorney General, because we know this is about Nigeria state. We call on the Attorney General. If the Inspector General of Police will not see reason, why they will not be reasonable in the face of any personal grievances they may have against or anybody, we call on the Attorney General to let sanity prevail. We call on the Nigeria Bar Association. They have come to destroy the sanctity of court. Police officers, they have come to violently the court sittings were interrupted, and this is a public outrage. Everybody here today is disappointed because it is not expected. We felt police have followed the law. If the magistrate had denied bail today, that would be a justification. If the magistrate had granted bail and the defendant are not able to meet up, that would be a justification. But this thing happened around to 11 when the court had granted bail in this city. That's what witness in court today. That's what witness. We call for the release of Sowore. That is very, very important. We call for his release. We call for his release. We call on the Nigerian Bar Association too to rise up. We cannot continue to watch things happen like this. Otherwise, people will lose faith in judiciary. People will lose faith in court process. Thank you.
Mr. Chinedu, we are seeing a surprise development. Remember that Sowore led a protest hashtag free Nnamdi Kanu now, where he shut down Abuja for Nnamdi Kanu. But surprisingly, Sowore appeared in court today, and we have seen that he has been arrested. And Sowore is someone who have visited Abuja the other day, and he submitted a bail application. What are we seeing? What is this new tweet?
I think a total clampdown on resistance voices and voice of freedom. Because Sowore becomes very relevant as a result of Nnamdi Kanu on this issue. And before now, I can tell you there was a court injunction stating that Sowore should not be allowed within the court premises, you know, and that statement was issued by the court, and Sowore, which for now does not hold any water, Sowore actually went to court because Nnamdi Kanu is appearing in the court today. We don't know whether actually it was based on that he was arrested, or based on the already the development that we are seeing at this moment, where Nnamdi Kanu has finally taken a decision to actually open defense. And but if you look at Sowore's arrest, you know, he sent another strong signal that Nigerian government has actually declared war on justice, has actually declared war on freedom. Sowore's arrest, as I report to you, right there in the court where Nnamdi Kanu was seen, you know, attending to his court
in the picture
appearance
on the
today.
screen, you can clearly see Sowore and of course Nnamdi Kanu while they were moving together, even right in the hospital. Viewers can see the picture on the screen.
Yes, they can watch the video of how Sowore was actually, you know, arrested, you know, and taken to unknown location. But let me tell you very clearly, you know, that issue of Sowore's arrest is going to trigger another form of, you know, discussion centering on how this government have become tyrannical and draconian
Let me even ask this. Is it because Sowore had hinted the other day that he's going to give updates as to the next line of action secret to another protest? Yeah, would it because they don't want another protest?
It's not necessarily, if Sowore does not lead any protest, there are thousands of them here who can actually lead the protest and still make an impact. I can tell you that, you know, outside that, a day has not been fixed for another, you know, powerful, impactful protest in that regard, as in Freeman's Nnamdi Kanu now protest that's already, you know, getting international acknowledgement. Let me put it that way. You know, international attention. You know, and the Nnamdi Kanu factor has continued to generate, you know, traction in all ramifications. So if you look at what actually Bola Ahmed Tinubu want to achieve with all this, you know, he's really painting his government in really, you know, bad light. You know, considering this latest development where the leader of revolution now, Sowore, has been arrested right inside the court. You know, the arrest of Sowore will trigger another form of, you know, uprising. Let me put it that way, because Nigerians will not like to see that kind of a thing, you know, happen. And well, we have seen severally in this part of the world under Jonathan, the way a manner protest was being led in this country. You know, it is a civil responsibility. It is a civil right. Arresting Sowore will not solve the problem. The government themselves should look inwards and see how they are going to manage this issue, so that it will not turn to something, you know, they cannot handle after. These are people, these are figures the entire masses of Nigeria see, you know, as a symbol of hope, as a symbol of freedom, as a symbol of defense, as a symbol, you know, of justice, you know, and those who cannot be able to speak for themselves, the voice of the voiceless. So it can trigger, it might have a multiplying effect, a similar effect on this government if care is not taken. I want to say it very clearly, you know, that action has been taken right right there in the presence of the presiding judge, James Omotosho, and I can tell you that those DSS that were involved, it happened in the presence of Omotosho, and the presiding judge was not able to stop the arrest of Sowore inside the court. It's quite unfortunate.
But is Sowore becoming a threat to the government?
Sowore is not a threat to anybody. I can never be a threat. If Sowore is a threat to them now, then what happens under Jonathan? You know, and when Sowore was seen as part of the protest that led to, I would say it was the downfall of Jonathan, but we see how prominent figures in this country led a protest against Jonathan and said a lot of things about Jonathan. Jonathan never arrested anybody, you know, but it tells you that a lot of things is wrong and factored into, you know, what the government does not want the Nigerian masses to know about how they are being, they are managing, you know, the instrument of justice in this country. And you see, I repeat again, I want to be quoted. Every Nigerian was born a free man, you know. Then how come we suddenly become slaves under APC?
But do you think the government can manage hashtag free Nnamdi Kanu, hashtag free Sowore? It's becoming too obvious that
you know, it depends on how long. It depends on how long they want to keep Sowore in secret detention. You understand? Then that will now be another factor that will determine, you know, what is going to happen. But I think the whole thing is being modeled together. Let me just say it one thing. If some people have been listening to one of the former CIA writer, James Hadley, he said it very clearly. You know that too many fish in the pond will stay up the mud. What is building up currently now can stir up a revolution in Nigeria, and they will not be able to, you know, stop it. Arresting Sowore is not the solution to what is happening now. If and as much as under Jonathan we saw a lot of protests that took place, why is the Nigerian government going after people who are protesting to what they feel is passive judgment to their plight? That is not democracy anymore. Like, what we see, you know, this thing is becoming, you know, tyrannical, and it's a sign of an emperor in power. And I think to an extent, Nigerians can decide anytime to rise against this, you know, clamp down on resistant voices in Nigeria. Like the likes of Sowore. Sowore and Nnamdi Kanu are not in the same line of, you know, agitation, you know. But I can tell you, I remember some time ago when Sowore was also apprehended. We can take you back during the days of Ezazaki, you know, when both of them were in custody. Nnamdi Kanu was in London, and he uses his platform to advocate for the immediate release of Sowore and Ezazaki. And
what Sowore is doing like a payback time?
I wouldn't say it's a payback time. What has triggered Sowore's, you know, leading a protest is circumstantial, you know, because Nnamdi Kanu has attracted sympathy. Nnamdi Kanu has attracted, you know, international attention. Nnamdi Kanu, you know, is being seen that what is happening to Nnamdi Kanu is a deliberate act of injustice, you know, and that was what triggers the likes of Sowore to step in and start calling for Nnamdi Kanu's release. And the law does not justify that Nnamdi Kanu actually committed an offense. That is the first thing you must understand.
No, the law presuming innocent or the proven otherwise.
No, it's not a matter of, we don't want to go there. There's no presumption here. It's a matter of presumption. What the law has stated should be respected. In October 2022, the appeal court declared the child acquitted. The matter was taken to Supreme Court. So then you all came back and ordered for the trial. So what is the justification? Apart from that, you do not continue a trial in a court of competent jurisdiction in a situation where a criminal act was being perceived to have been conducted against the suspect. It is no longer the law. Nnamdi Kanu is in DSS custody because of interest.
Let us briefly look at Nnamdi Kanu deciding to sack his lawyers and is calling some big names as witness to his case. The names like Babajide Sowore, of course.
Nnamdi Kanu did not. Let us put that record very correct straight here on this point now. Let us just. Nnamdi Kanu never sacked any lawyer. Nnamdi Kanu opened defense because the presiding judge, James Omotosho, said that Nnamdi Kanu has a case to answer. Yes, then of course the federal government have closed their defense. That is okay. He submitted no case submission. He came back and said he has a case. This is the case now.
What do you make of the big names are hearing?
He is going to defend himself. He's going to expose them to the law. Yes, let them come and prove. Let me tell you why he mentioned Sowore. You know, Nnamdi Kanu, one of the charges against Nnamdi Kanu, where they are using against him, was the issue of answers. And if you look at what the Lagos State government, you know, the panel they sent on answers, you know, nobody mentioned Nnamdi Kanu's name there. So Sowore should come out and defend how Nnamdi Kanu ignited the answers thing. As simple as that. With the panel report. So the whole world will see where Nnamdi Kanu's name that appeared in that panel. So it's a case of suicide mission, live or die. Whichever way, Nnamdi Kanu has turned the table against them. And that is where they are seeing Sowore, you know, that they need to keep in one side so that nobody will begin to trigger what they saw happen in October 20th. But unfortunately for them, we have thousands of resilient activists currently now tied to the freedom of Nnamdi Kanu from all over the world.
Thank you very much for your time. It's a development story. We hope to have you on this later. But for now, I must say very big thank you for your time.